Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Sports Wrap, your show for hockey. Glad to have Dennis Marook back on. Thanks, Dennis, for being back on and joining us.
No problem. Looking
Love
forward.
that, love that Minnesota North Stars hat gear. I haven't
All
seen
right.
that stuff in ages. This guy's going to come up with a new jersey or whatever every single time he comes on the show, and
I,
he's going to bring us back to yesteryear.
I
I'll be
didn't
sure.
play with that many teams, just a few. All
All
right.
right, well, that's all right. What would you knock out Washington before, right? And now you
Right.
got Minnesota. So when he comes on, I think what next week we'll go
Yeah.
ahead and bring on the next one. You're making this jersey thing. If we can get any sponsors on this show, we got to find out what we'll actually have to do in terms of you're concerned about. You got to sponsor Dennis Marook's jersey of the night. That's what we'll have to come up with. Candy, keep that in mind. All right,
Uh,
Mike, welcome back to the show as well. We got a lot of hockey to talk about.
Yeah, great to be here.
All right, let's get to it. All right, let's talk about.
I love doing the show with a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, right,
I
exactly.
thank you guys. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, listen, I spent time over the weekend with another guy in baseball who should have been in the Hall of Fame. That was Don Mattingly, and I
You're
caught up with
you're
him in
so right.
Clearwater.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so right.
Yeah, well, you and Don can make cases. We'll do it kind of loud it up there for you. All right,
Thank
well,
you.
well, my pleasure, all day long, man. So let's start with the most recent Canadian teams to win the Stanley Cup, and we'll see which one hopefully will win be the one to get out of it. The Montreal Canadiens did it in '93.
Yes.
The Edmonton Oilers in 1990, the Calgary Flames in 1989, the Houston Oilers in 1988, and the Edmonton Oilers.
Right.
Oh, I had an Oilers, but it was just the wrong one. But Edmonton Oilers in '88, Edmonton in '87, Canadians in '86. Mike, of all those teams, which one do you think would be the most likely one that should be able to win a Stanley Cup with what they have?
Teams now? The
Yeah,
Canadians?
I mean, or at least to snap the Canadian drought.
Well, I'll tell you, I think the team that's on the rise and that probably has the best chance in the next few years, maybe not right away, but in the next 5 to 10 years is probably Montreal.
Is what?
Montreal. I think
Okay.
they have a good young team. I think they're building it the right way. They're pretty good in goal. They've got some depth in goal. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you, I mean, look, there's a lot of places to play in the National Hockey League, but there's probably no tougher place to play when they're good, especially than Montreal. Like the fans in there are they're like European soccer fans. They're really into the game. They're on top of you, and they don't have the ghosts that they used to have in the old Forum, right, Dennis?
Right. Yeah.
The
New rink.
They bounce their way in the Bell Center, but it's still a pretty tough place to play. But so I'd say Montreal repeat. How about that as Canadian champs? Since they won 193, they'll be the next team.
There we go. Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
Well, I agree a little bit with you on the Montreal situation. Of course, in the '80s that was the Oilers were the team were unbelievable. There's not going to be a team that will ever come close to them. What they were like, they were just a powerhouse, and they were the team of the '80s. But I think in fairness, you look at the teams today. Look, Caulfield in Montreal's got 40 goals. He's got his 40th last night. They've really been working on getting players to trades and pulling guys up. But their goaltending, I find, is weak. I don't think they've got a strong enough goaltending to be maybe 2 or 3 years down the road. But right now, no, I don't think they are. The team that really, really has shocked me, and he's done a great job there, and we'll talk about that in coaching, is Anaheim. Even
Right.
though the Leafs beat them the other day, I watched some of their players, and they move the puck pretty good. They skate well. You don't hear much about them because they're out west. A lot of the Western teams and all that out there, you don't really hear much about. You hear about, and you look at Buffalo. Buffalo is a team that you can't count out this year. Their goaltending has been okay, and that's another team that's got a little weak link there. But those two teams, Montreal and Buffalo, are real strong contenders. But I think the weak link is their goaltending.
Okay, but what Canadian team, Dennis, do you think of this group, or maybe one that isn't on there, has the next chance to probably break that jinx?
Well, I would definitely have to say Montreal. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make it a clean sweep, Montreal.
Toronto, no.
Yeah, well, they haven't won. I think was it in '67? I think.
You got it.
Remember
Yep,
right?
you're right.
I think
'67, and who knows when? And Edmonton, I think, had their shot with Connor McDavid. The question is they don't have any goaltending. So
Exactly.
what do you think about Connor McDavid after next year going to Toronto?
That's really, it's he wants to win it there. There's no doubt about it. I don't care. You hear stories going somewhere, whatever. Um, and I think, does he want to move? Does he want to go somewhere else? I believe, depending on how their situation goes, they needed to get a goaltender. I don't know what they did with that trade. It wasn't really working. It was a wrong. Bowman did not do a good job, as far as I'm concerned. And to let go of that defenseman Kulak, who I thought was a pretty good defenseman for them, which they're weak at in all. That was another mistake. So there. I wonder if they start, if they're not getting to a point where they're developing and getting good young players and getting players to win, I think he will move somewhere else. I'm no nobody's is locked in anywhere. I think he may move somewhere else and just say, "Hey, I've had enough of this." Yeah.
okay, great stuff. Okay, well, let's talk about a trade that just took place at the deadline. Naz is back, meaning that Calgary receives forward Victor Olofsson, then forward Maximilian Coran, a 2027 second round conditional pick, and a 2028 conditional first round pick. Colorado gets Nazem Kadri and a 2027 fourth round pick. Dennis, who got the best of this trade?
Thanks. Um,
You're
I've
welcome.
always liked
Anytime.
Kadri. I've always liked Kadri. As my in fact, he played with my junior team that I played, London Knights, for a year. So we both, are Knights alumnus. But I've always liked. I think he got in trouble. He did make some mistakes in Toronto, and I believe that he was kind of the goat there, and they got rid of him there. But I believe he's a great competitor and can help any team. And when he went to Colorado the first time and won the Stanley Cup, I said, "Geez, why?" And then all of a sudden they let him go, and now he's back.
Right.
I think the thing is, Colorado had did so well at the beginning of the year that they're starting to go down south a little bit, but they're still, I think, one of the top teams in the league. And adding Kadri is certainly going to help them.
What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think Colorado's got a window right now to win a Stanley Cup or two more. With the guys they've got, with Makar on the blue line and McKinnon up front. This is a guy they had success with a couple of years ago. He obviously fits into the way Bednarz wants to play.
Right.
And he's familiar with these guys. I think if you're Colorado, you've got to make this move because their time to win is now.
Yeah.
So I don't know overall that you could say they got the better of the trade, but they got the guy they needed to get to have a chance to win, especially this year.
Again, you're trying to bolster your lineup at the trade deadline. If they feel he's a missing piece, then you have to take a shot at it. If you really do in a case like that. But I'll tell you, they paid a lot to get him, that for sure. So let's talk about another trade that took place amongst the Detroit Red Wings. They received Justin Falk from St. Louis, and the Blues received Justin Holl, Dmitry Bushelnikov, Detroit's first round pick in 2026, and San Jose's third round pick in 2026. Mike, I'll go to you first for your thoughts on how the Red Wings made out with the Justin Holt addition.
I typically like it when teams add depth to their blue line at the trade deadline instead of going after the big fish. And you see too many times that guys go after, Patrick Kane when he went to the Rangers a couple of years ago.
Right.
Some of these other big deals. Drawing a blank, but the kid that went to Carolina, and then they leave. But I usually like teams that add depth to their blue line. I'm just not a big fan of Justin Falk.
Okay.
He's I mean, he's a half a point a game guy. I guess they maybe wanted a little bit more offense back in the blue line in their top four, but he's a little bit of a defensive liability, and I don't know that you want to add that type of player to your team if you're in a Red Wings position. I mean, they're not a favorite to win the cup. They should finally get back into the playoffs this year,
Right.
but I just don't think he's the type of guy they should have added. He's a minus player, and sometimes a bad minus player.
What do you think, Dennis?
I agree in some situation that where they're looking for a little bit of offense there on the blue line, but they've had injuries. They got some of their big guys out of the line. Larkin's out, a few other guys are out, and their centermen have been injured. So Detroit's had they've gone south. They haven't had a winning record. They've kind of calmed. They went on a roll there for a while, and then they got those injuries. So to make that trade, I think that was more to get not a experienced defenseman who's been around the league, who can move the puck, who can produce on the power play and things like that. Yeah, you're right about the defensive ability, but he's not bad. They've got their goaltending. Gibson has been unbelievable for Detroit, and if they can sustain some more, not get any more injuries, and get those guys back, I think they'll get in. If they don't, I think they're going to scramble to get in.
Yeah, I think I credit Steve Yzerman for making the move to at least be aggressive and show the Detroit fan base that you're willing to do it. And I understand that they got him through next year as well. So Yzerman was not looking for a rental at all.
No.
But the main thing is they got to get some of their players back, and I know Dylan Larkin is out as well. So you have to. Patrick Kane got them a lot of points the other day, but they have to get right, and the injuries are coming at the wrong time. But I give Yzerman credit for at least making the move anyhow. Speaking of the Wings, let's talk about the fact that they traded Elmer Soderblom to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for a 2026 third round pick, which happened to be the San Jose Sharks. Well, this is an opportunity, though, Dennis, for Soderblom to finally get some playing time in Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts about this guy? I think he's like 6'8", 6'9". He's a big player.
I think I wish I was 6'8" when I played. I think I probably still playing. I'm 5'8". Never mind 6'8". Yeah. I don't know. I don't know a lot about. I know he's from Sweden and all that. And I've seen him play a little bit. I don't know a lot about him. I'm questionable. I'm not a big. How do I say it? The GM in Pittsburgh. I'm not big on him. I'm not big on him. So whatever moves he's made, I don't. I don't go along with them. With this one here, yes, it'll give them a chance to play in Pittsburgh. But then look what they got on the blue line. I mean, look what they got too. So they got Carlson, they got Letang, they got. I mean, how much ice time is he going to play? So, I questioned the trade at first, but hey, he's going to a team with some pretty good hockey players, so maybe he'll learn a lot too.
Exactly. That was where I was going with that. And they haven't been in the playoffs in a while. If you send a guy like him with potential to a team that's winning, let alone with a decent coach, maybe there's a chance he'll be able to have a fresh start and be productive in that environment. Mike?
They had this kid for 4 years. He couldn't really crack the lineup or stay in the lineup.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he's a monster size-wise, but he's not intimidating anybody. He also isn't putting up any points. I think Steve Yzerman's just like, okay, he's not going to be a guy for us, and I think that is right on the money with Dubas. I think Dubas thinks a little too highly of himself as like a Ron Caron professor type,
right.
With all of his analytics and everything else, and he's going to be some kind of mad scientist and turn this guy into something that he's just not going to be.
I think the only way he's going to things will work out is the veterans, the older guys, work with them and help them out. That's the only way I think it's going to help.
Well, I guess we'll find out in due time. All right, let's continue.
Right.
Let's continue to roll here. Here's a guy we should all be familiar with, and he's certainly a good friend of mine. Longtime Red Wings broadcaster Paul Woods will retire at the end of the season. Woods has been a part of the Red Wings radio team for over 40 years. He started with Bruce Martin, and now he's with Ken Cal. Dennis, let's go to you. Paul Woods is certainly one of the nicest people around, and he played the game at a decent level for the Red Wings. Do you have any recollections of Paul Woods?
Oh, I remember Woody. Believe I played junior against him too. I
Oh,
think we're
did you?
about the same age. I think we're about the same age, and I played against him, of course, in my professional career. And what a great man. I've met him off the ice. I've been involved, in interviews and stuff like that. But I really believe that he did a wonderful job there in Detroit.
Yeah.
Not only as a player, but as a color commentator and all that, and doing that there in Detroit. And I just wish him all the best. I don't really know him personally, just to talk to him, but I do wish him all the best in his retirement.
Oh, I used to see him all the time at Red Wings games. We would
There you
sit
go.
down and eat dinner. Well, as a member of the media, though, Dennis, and we would have a lot of fun. We'd say, "Give me some interviews when I needed them," and I'll tell you, you can't ask for a nicer person
Right.
in this business than Paul Wood. You know, and I had a lot of good memories with him. Not only interviewing him, but we would eat all kinds of meals together, and just he would always ask how I was feeling. And I'm glad he'll be able to utilize retirement. Mike.
Well, you know, I certainly know who he is. I know he played with the Red Wings. I didn't really have a chance to listen to him as an analyst because I'm not from Detroit. And in the modern era, most of the time when I'm going to talk about the Red Wings, I'm able to do it on TV. However, I do like analysts that played in the organization, and that's something that doesn't seem to happen as much anymore. But back in the 70s and the 80s, these analysts on TV and radio were usually guys that played for the team.
Right.
And they know the organization and they're company guys, so to speak, right? And to me, that's what Paul Woods was. He was a Red Wing through and through. He played for them. He was a captain for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the type of guy you want to listen to as an analyst.
Yeah, look at Mickey Redmond. He's still there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, he is.
Look at that.
To me, those are the guys, as a hometown fan, you want to listen to. I think too much today, we've got these guys who are broadcasting games. Sometimes they're not even the analysts, and all they want to do is talk and tell you how much they know. And I don't want to listen to the play-by-play guy tell me things about the game or what's going on. I want to listen to a guy that played the game, and particularly a guy that played for that same organization.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, good points for both of you. All right, well, let's talk about our feature topic of the night, and that being the fact that new head coaches around the NHL. You have Joel Quenneville, for Anaheim, Marco Sturm for Boston, Jack Blashill with the Blackhawks, Chicago Blackhawks. You have Glenn Gulitson for Dallas, Mike Sullivan for the Rangers, Rick Tocchet with Philadelphia Flyers, Dan Muse for Pittsburgh, Lane Lambert for Seattle, and Adam Foote for Vancouver. We'll go to you first, Dennis. Which one of these, give me 2 or 3, stands out to you?
It just seems like it's a big circle. You get in as a coach, you get hired and fired. You're in that. Once you get in that circle, if you get, no matter how good or bad you do, you'll get another job somewhere. And we look at a lot of these new coaches that have gone to other teams that have already coached in the NHL with other teams. I'm more concerned about the newer guys like Dan Muse. I think Ryan. Well, I can't pronounce his last name. Warskovsky in San Jose. I think the guy in Utah, and then Calgary, Huska. I mean, there's what five guys that haven't coached in, or 4 or 5 guys that have not coached in the NHL, which I think will be nice to see what happens with them, how they do. And of course, it doesn't happen overnight. They need some time to, get their systems and all that going on. But all the other guys that Quenneville's won Stanley Cups in Chicago, and he's in Anaheim, and that's what I was saying. He's really got those guys going pretty good. You look at Bonus. Where's Rick Bonus? Yeah, he's been around for so long, right? And then you've got Guggs, and he's been around, assistants, all that. Lindsey Ruff back in Buffalo. So these guys have all coached, so they're in a. So I'm working to see what will happen with these first year guys that have never coached in it and how well they'll do. That's my theory, and I don't think any of them right now are really lit the light up.
I agree, but here's the one thing that really intrigues me, though, Dennis. I'll be curious to see how Jeff Blashill does over the next couple of years with his second shot as a head coach. And I realize that he went into the Chicago situation really in a bit of a rebuild, but he's been down this road before with younger players, and you have a goaltender named Spencer Knight up there as well. So, Chicago doesn't have a bad core there, but Jeff Blashill, all these names here intrigue me probably the most. We'll turn it over to you, Mike. And Mike Sullivan went into a bad situation with the Rangers, so I feel bad for the guy. But he got a gold medal.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I agree with Dennis that reality is most of these guys aren't new coaches. They're just with new teams, and there is something, unfortunately, probably in all sports, but we're hockey guys, so we see it in hockey where these guys get in the circle and they keep going. I'm really interested in Ryan Wasorski. I know him. I also watched him work his way up, particularly through the ECHL and then through the American League. I think he's been on a similar path as Bednar's in Colorado. In fact, they both coached in South Carolina in the ECHL. The guy that I think who is new as a head coach in the NHL and is going to be the best of all of them is Marco Sturm in Boston. I had him as a player. He was a real honest player, real smart player. As a player and a teammate, he was one of those guys that everybody wanted to be around. He's a good person. Doesn't lose his cool, which I think is really important when when you got to work with some young guys. And I think if Boston hangs in there with him and rides for a couple of years, he's going to do a great job there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Now I just wonder there with that one because of the GM there. If things will work out well with the two of them, Sweeney and Sturm. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the chat room real quick. Kinzer Harness says this live team, well, it's close enough. Okay, I mean we're live here on StreamYard and all over the place, so you can say that as well as YouTube. And Earl Kinsey, our friend of the show, says I'll try to hang with y'all on hockey and I'll watch it, but I'll give input. I will just listen for now and then and learn. Nothing wrong with that because I have two of the best in the business talking about it. With that said, let's go back a little bit in hockey history, but not some of the best hockey history. But on July 5th, 2010, Bob Probert passed away, and his ashes were laid to rest in Joe Louis Arena, penalty box. What are your best recollections of Bob Probert, Dennis?
Okay, that's a good. Proby was a pretty good left winger, big guy. When he played with Eisenman and all that, and a big guy, and he had really good hands. Of course, he had good hands to fight. There's no doubt about it. But he was good with the stick, and he knew what to do with that puck around the net. And just he had some off ice situations that we could go. I had a bunch of stories. I did a bunch of charity events with him. After he was done, I was done, and I ended up calling him Phantom. I gave him the nickname, not Proby, Phantom, because he always come to me. He goes, come on, meet me down in the library. We'll go to the bar. We'll go to the pub, and hang out. And we go to the pub, and 15 minutes later, he's gone. He's gone. He would just leave. And so I talked to him the next day, and he said, I didn't like it. I said, well, why didn't you tell me? He said, I didn't want to bother you, blah, blah, blah. So I was leave. So I nicknamed him the Phantom. And I was with him a month before he passed away, and in an event, and we had a great time. He was a gentleman, off the ice, but he had some situations that I could tell you a lot more stories that went on. with Colin Campbell taking care of him and all that kind of stuff when he was in Detroit, what happened at the border. But I don't want to get into all that kind of stuff. I look at the way he played on the ice, and of course he was one of the top fighters
Right.
ever in the NHL. Of course, wouldn't back down from anybody, and but I really looked at his performance. He could perform on the ice as a hockey player.
Well, him and Joey Kotzer were two guys you didn't want to get around. I mean, if you didn't have Probert to work around, you got to deal with Joey. And Kotzer was as good as they get. And let's not kid yourself. Everybody knows it's not, and I'm saying it, not you, okay, Dennis. He did have challenges with alcoholism and things like that, and that's a disease that people have to literally take. Don't take it lightly. I mean, it's just unfortunate, but God. But again, in hockey history, it's hard to believe that it's been a little while. What 15 years or so that Proby's been gone, and he'll go down as certainly one of the most intimidating and better fighters in the game in the NHL. Right?
Yeah, he was a better than good hockey player.
Yeah,
He's a guy, if he had the opportunity to play regularly, was back in that era a 20-goal guy.
yeah,
And that wasn't an easy thing to achieve in the 80s and in the early 90s. And when I say if he had the opportunity, because it didn't matter who he was playing on a given night, somebody was always coming after him.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that target from being probably the toughest guy in the league, maybe certainly one of the toughest guys ever. And if you remember those divisions back in the day, that Norris division was Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit, Minnesota. There were some tough guys up and down every lineup. I mean, just to throw some names out, St. Louis had, Tony Twist and Kelly Chase and whoever else. And, Chicago had man.
That was the Chuck Norris division.
Yeah.
right.
So he, he almost didn't have a chance or didn't have the chance that other players did to show what kind of a player he was, because every night somebody was coming after him.
Right.
And of course the Demons, that didn't make it any easier for a guy that had to get away from that stuff, away from the ice, because I mean I when I was in college, Lyndon Byers, who just passed away a couple of years ago.
Lyndon Byers, yeah.
Playing for the Bruins, and he used to come over. He was our age, so he used to come over and he'd hang around our dorm room, and I can remember the night before a game, everybody else was preparing for a game, and he would sit in our dorm room and talk to us about like who he thought he was going to have to fight the next night. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of pressure. Game in, game out. When you're not preparing for the game, you're preparing for that 30 seconds when the coach taps you on the back and you got to go out and fight, one of the toughest guys in the business on the other side.
Right.
And it's just different. And Proby, not that Lyndon Byers was a bad player, but Proby was an all-star caliber player who didn't get a chance to play enough because he always had to take on these other guys.
Exactly.
Somebody's got to do the dirty work, and there was nobody better than Bob Probert who did the dirty work.
Well, and again,
I don't call it dirty. I think it's just they made it partly because of that aspect of the game, the fighting. Some of them were okay with the puck and could do something with it. Others couldn't, or couldn't, tried to and thought they could, but you could just see it wasn't going to happen. But he was one guy that could fight and was tough and fight with anybody. But he could also, as Mike was saying, he could score, he could make plays, and he could do things that you go, well, why do you fight? But that's the way. That was part of the reason why he got there and how he survived and played a long time because of that. And you could go to the guys that down each team, and there's one or two guys that were there because of their aggressive fighting skills, and they ended up playing a lot of years.
Yeah,
You know what?
in that division too, you're right, Dennis. In that division back in those days,
Yeah.
there wasn't one real tough guy in every team. Those teams in that division, they had 2 or 3.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And there were nights where Proby would have to fight 2 or 3 different guys. Right?
Exactly.
Like if he had it out with Tony Twist, the second period, Kelly Chase might come after him, right? The third period,
Yeah.
Basil McRae might try him.
And then Sutter will fight
Yeah,
him.
one of the Sutters. Like,
Yes.
So it wasn't.
Brian Sutter.
The other thing that I just don't know, but remember, this is a kid that or a guy that grew up in Windsor,
Mhm.
literally a few miles from Joe Louis Arena. I don't know if that was good or bad for him.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if anybody knew this, but his ashes were actually spread out in the penalty box over at Joe Louis Arena.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, when he passed away. And you know what, though, Dennis, you bring up an interesting point. And being an NFL guy, if you can go ahead and play special teams and you're have a regular position, that's your way. Especially when they had 9 and 10, 12 rounds in the draft, you made the club versus the guy who played one position. And if you have guys that are fighters, like you were talking about with Probert and Kosher that were there for that particular role, then that certainly gave them a little bit more staying power. It's almost like the equivalent of a left-handed pitcher in baseball. Those are commodities, what they really are. If you can find a commodity, you move them up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, in Minnesota, I played with Willie Plett.
Yeah.
If you remember Willie Plett, he was my right
Oh,
winger.
yeah. Yeah, I remember Willie Plett.
My right winger. And we were in Chicago, and I don't know if I said this on a few weeks ago, but I was the type of guy that I stirred up a little bit, little guy, and we're in Chicago, and Willie goes, "Dennis, please don't do anything tonight. I don't want to fight. I don't want to back you up. I don't want to fight." I go, "Why?" He says, "I got a date in Chicago." After the game, I don't want my hands or cut in my face, whatever. I got to go out with the girl. So, and then the next game, of course, he goes, "Okay, stir it up. I need a fight." So that's just the way things went with those guys. And he's a guy that could shoot and score as well. But his job was to be aggressive, fight and stir up and all that kind of stuff. So that's the way it was.
So, Dennis, I got a question for you. I'm going to bring up 2 guys. Okay, you said you're 5'8". Is that correct?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. When I bring up Dennis Polonich and Dino Cicerelli, what enters your mind with those 2 guys?
Dennis Polonich? Dennis
Polonich. Yeah.
I'm gonna get you, you son of a gun. I'm gonna carve your eyes out. That's what he'd say to you on the ice.
Really?
But he was shorter. He was shorter than I am. Oh no, I'm a giant. I can eat pineapples off his head. I met him a few years ago out in Western Canada at a charity event. We had a great time chatting. He was just a tough, scrappy little. It's sad that what happened to him with Will Paymont, and that that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. But I know Dino. Dino and I played together in Minnesota. And Dino was a great competitor, great goal scorer, and he'd stand in front of the net. Of course, he wouldn't fight. He's not a fighter. He'd use that stick pretty good if he had to, and I think that's what it was. Dennis Polonich, he was a fighter. He'd scrap anybody. He'd jump on your back or whatever, and saw you down. But that's the way he was, and that's the way a competitor he was. And that's how he got to the NHL, and that's how he survived and played a bunch of years.
If I remember correctly, I think his nickname was called Super Pest.
Dennis, yeah, probably.
All right, Mike, want to add to this?
Well, yeah, I think Dennis can speak to it because he did it. Like, to make it in the NHL at that size in any era, and you can go back to Ted Lindsay. Ted Lindsay was a wee bit of a guy, but I remember some other guys, Ken Linsman, other guy,
Marchand, look at Marchand.
Marchand now in this era, like you've gotta be able to play that way if you're gonna make it, at that size. And today I think because there's so many of these 6'4" and 6'5" giants, they're almost better to be 5'8" 6'8" or 5'10" than you are 6 foot, because 6 foot now you're just an easy target out there. If you can skate and stay low and small, and as long as you can skate, I think you're in a better situation.
Yeah,
But
that year I had 136 points. I had 125 minutes in penalties. So I mean, I was in a penalty box a lot too, because you had to play that way. That was the way it was. It was very aggressive, hard hitting, fighting if you had to, and all that kind of. Even when you're a little guy, to stay in the league and to perform and to last a long time. If you didn't, you weren't going to last.
who was the guy? I'm drawing a blank for the Islanders. Who was a little crazy guy?
Gary Howitt.
Gary Howard. Yes.
Okay. Gary Howard. He was a tough competitor. They had a tough team. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. That's why they won those Stanley Cups. They had everything that you would have on a team. But he was a scrappy little fighter guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had the eyes that rolled in the back of his head.
Oh yeah, he'd fight anybody. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? I got 2 more hockey topics, and I'm going to go to 2 non-sports ones. Since Dennis really took a liking to non-sports, I'm going to save 2 at the end. I know he did. These aren't too bad, though. All right. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Which Paul Coffey era do you think of first? One he played with the Detroit Red Wings, the Edmonton Oilers, or the Pittsburgh Penguins? We'll lead off with you, Dennis.
Well, I was just at his event. They had the NHL alumni was honored Man of the Year.
Okay.
In Toronto, and I was down there last Saturday. So and that was for Paul Coffey, and it was kind of neat because he wanted a music night. So there was Tom Cochran played, Julian Brando, Sam Roberts. They had a couple other bands that played, and it was just a great musical night. But he had all the players that he played with Pittsburgh, Edmonton, Detroit. A lot of them were all there. And so I got to run into a lot of players while I was there. And I really, I guess for my scenario would be when he was in Edmonton, because I was with the North Stars, and we had a real good team in the Chuck Norris division. We would pretty much win that division every year, but we'd have to go against the Oilers in the '80s to go to the finals. And I would say, because of Paul Coffey, they were electrifying. Even though Gretzky was there, Anderson was there, Messier, Curry, Tikkanen, Kevin Lowe, go down the list. That Paul Coffey was phenomenal. He was good. He could skate, move the puck, shoot. He was like another forward, but he would be back just as fast as going up there. So I would say that would be the time I would say that he was just a stand-up. Yes, and a great man. A great man.
I couldn't agree more. Here's the thing. My heart would want to say the Red Wings because they were starting it around them, but I won't. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and say the Edmonton Oilers because that's where he played with some elite talent and won cups. And that to me is the deciding point about which one stands out of the 3. Pittsburgh, I know it's there, but I would lean toward the Edmonton Oilers. Dennis, for a lot of what you mentioned. All right, turn over to Mike.
Yeah, I don't think there's even a debate. It's definitely when he was at Edmonton. I mean, the way he played the game fit that style that Edmonton played back in those days. I mean, Dennis said he was like a fourth forward. I don't remember too many games where I saw him skate backwards.
He was always skating forward, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he'd join the rush or he'd carry the puck on the rush, and then if it got turned over or they didn't score, then he'd be the first one back skating forward. Like
when the puck would come to him, he's like a magnet. It was like a magnet. Yeah.
I mean, he was tremendous, and with all that offensive talent they had on that team, I mean, you got to remember those teams, those Edmonton teams, they'd score 7-8 goals at will in a game.
Yeah. They would wake up. They'd be sleeping, all of a sudden wake up, boom, it's in. We had them 4-1 midway through the second period in mid '80s in a playoff game in Minnesota. We lost 7-5.
Wow.
Yeah, and we didn't play bad. It was like they just like, well, why are we down 4-1? Next thing you know, boom, 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 boom.
Okay. Well, you know what? One more hockey topic I want to get to. We'll talk about the history of 3-peat Stanley Cup champions. The Florida Panthers are trying to make a run of that, but as a result, injuries took care of that, and it took care of it early. Let's go over some of the historical ones. Toronto 47-49, Montreal 56-60, Toronto 62-64, and then you had Montreal 76-79, and New York Islanders from 80-93. That's how hard it is to do, Dennis.
I don't think you're going to find many teams that are going to three-peat. Florida, I think Florida would have had a chance this year, but they had too many injuries to key players, and things just aren't going well for them right now. I would say they would have a chance, but I can't see the way the league is today, the way it's young, the way it's you can pretty much move anywhere where you want. You go to any team, and I don't really know. Pick one team that I could say is going to win the Stanley Cup this year. I'd say there's a bunch of teams, but no one's really got the inside track of winning, and I think that's going to happen for a long time. You're going to find different teams every year now. You're going to see some of the teams that were struggling for 4 or 5 years have improved with younger players. The league is a young league,
Right.
and the ones that the young players that all gel and gel and mend together quickly are the ones that could possibly have a three-peat winner. But I don't think it's going to happen for quite some time.
Yeah, ditto there, Dennis. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it will happen eventually. I don't know when though, because you got a couple of factors. One, from the last team that did it, which was the Islanders in the early 80s. I mean, that's
Oilers,
45 years ago.
Yeah.
The Islanders won the 4 cups in a row.
Mm-hmm.
The league's 50% bigger now.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a 21-team league then. First, we had a 18-team league, then a 21-team league. Now we've got a 32-team league. You also, even though they travel by charter and they stay in all these nice hotels today, the league is coast to coast. I mean, look at all the, from Vancouver to Seattle to San Jose to LA to Anaheim to Utah. Like there's just so much travel now in the league, including in the playoffs. There's additional rounds of the playoffs now, games, especially when you want to start talking about teams like the Leafs in the 50s. And then the season is so darn long. These guys now, I mean, Bobby Orr scored the winning goal in 70 against St. Louis, the famous photo of him, flying through the air after he's tripped. That was on May 10th. The playoffs go 2 months longer now.
Yeah.
These guys finished the playoffs at the end of June, and they got 8 weeks, and they got to be back in training camp. And they get beaten up, and guys with surgeries and all sorts of things. And it's just too much to expect these teams. Remember, Florida's won 2 in a row, but they've been to 3.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, that's right. They've been at 3. Yeah, and that's probably why they got some injuries. Yeah, mentally and physically. I think they had some. They're just tired. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Paul Maurice has done a really good job, especially under those circumstances as well.
Too. I mean, you've got free agency now.
Right.
You've got a salary cap, and when teams have that kind of success, guys want and many times deserve more money, and you can't keep it.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you guys ready for some non-sports topics? I know Dennis is.
Oh,
I know
definitely.
Dennis has a lot. Hey, I got to ask you guys a quick question though first. Okay, when you're on next week, if I brought an Olympics topic on, would you be interested in talking about? We'll talk about the Olympics
Next week?
Yeah, when you're on.
Yeah. Olympic hockey or whatever.
Well, I'm just talking about Olympics in general.
Olympics in general? Sure. I wouldn't have any problem with that. Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
All right, I got a good one. All right, I have it. I want to run by you. No, not Olympic hockey. This is just Olympics in general. I have some facts that I'm going to bring up next week, so everybody get ready for some Olympic stuff that Dennis and Mike are going to get blown away by next week. So you hope you can join us on Sports Wrap next week, and we'll have Cody speak back as well. But the moments that you're waiting for, 2 non-sports topic of the night. First one, a Burger King worker, people. A Burger King worker who never missed a single day in the 27 years was gifted $400,000 for retirement. His name was Kevin Ford at Las Vegas Airport, and his goodie bag consisted of a movie ticket, Starbucks cup, and candy. What do you think of that one? 400 grand for never missing a day of work at Burger King. Can you imagine how many hamburgers he flipped in it?
I think that's awesome. I think it should happen more often. I mean, more often. Yeah, I don't know. I like Burger King, but I mean, hey, there's a guy. I mean, how does a guy go every day? How does he not miss? There you go. I mean, you got to be sick at some point in time, but I think that to be rewarded for being an awesome worker, it's like guys in sports. Are they giving 100%? The guy at Burger King, was he giving 100% to get that? And so look at the money that these athletes are making today. Look at the money that college athletes are making today.
Yeah.
So I kind of look at the sports, and then you bring in a business sector side of it, all that kind of stuff. So it's I think that's great for him. It happened.
$400,000 to show up 27 years to get 400 grand. That's not bad. Kudos to this guy. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'm with Dennis. I think he should have got more.
Yeah.
But I also think no matter what business you're in, whether it's the hockey business or the Burger King business, when you take pride in your work and you work hard like that and you don't miss a game as an athlete because you're sick or injured and you don't miss a
day of flipping burgers,
sick or injured, then good on him. He deserves every penny of the 400,000 and more.
Exactly.
Wasn't too bad, Dennis. All we did was talk about Burger King and being blue collar and this showing up. But this one here is going to be a lot more than anybody bargained for because I'm insane, and now you guys are going to find out why. Who on a hockey show would bring this topic up? Me. Because you know why? The Icelandic horse, people. Icelandic horse, Horse, is the only breed in the world isolated over 1,000 years, known for its unique gaits and gentle temperament. People, the Icelandic horse. All right, go ahead, Dennis. Take it from there.
What is that? Sorry, I all I saw on TV was Finland was and Denmark and up that area was great to live. I don't know much about this Icelandic horse there, so
Icelandic horse. Iceland. You ever been to Iceland?
no,
It's a
never
great
been to
place to go.
Iceland. Sorry, so if I'm going to start talking about it, it's not going to probably be good. So, no, I've never been there. I can't give you a good or bad about Iceland. So, sorry.
All I'm doing is bringing a horse in there, probably far bigger than Mr. Ed, the talking horse, people.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Mr. Ed. That's okay. So an Icelandic horse, man, has been isolated for 1,000 years, and you at least to learn a little bit about Icelandic horses. All right, we got Rush Diehard. Long live the 60 goal scorer, Maruk. Respect. You got a fan out here. That's great stuff, Rush Diehard. Appreciate you being in the show.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
Mike.
much. My pleasure.
What are your thoughts about the Icelandic horse, Mike?
I got to go with Dennis on this one. I haven't been to Iceland. I don't know much about the Icelandic horse, but I'm sure they're a hardy breed. So good on them. If I ever go to Iceland, I'm going to look for one and maybe I'll get a ride.
Well, you're getting a tip here from your co-host here. I'm your host, and Dennis Maruk, and you are my co-host. How does that sound? You got co-host. Dennis Maruk got up there pretty darn fast, and Mike has been there with me forever. With that said, we're going to bring in Katie Upling, and she's going to give us a preview for what's going on for Fire Up. And Katie, why don't you give your thoughts about the Icelandic horse? What do you know about these creatures?
I don't know a whole lot about them either, Scott.
Okay.
You bring up some different topics, so let's put it to you that way.
Those are non-topics. That's good. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that'd be a good birthday present for kids.
And let me tell you, we got a Motor City Mad Mouse show, Dennis, from 8 to 9 that's devoted to all non-sports topics.
Oh.
You got off easy with the Icelandic horse and Burger King today, man.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Wait till I hit some of the heavy stuff maybe one of these times. We'll do that. So go ahead, Katie. I'll just give everybody a update about what's up in Fire Up, and then go ahead and give a station break.
Well, I'm going to quick say that the Icelandic horse is a small and strong horse with a thick double coat, capable of thriving in harsh climates. Obviously, it has to be. And they actually are have a friendly temperament, making it a versatile riding horse for families and sports.
Wow. There you go.
So Mr. Minnesota North Star learned a little bit about the Icelandic horse.
Yes. Yes, right. They probably could use them in Minnesota too. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Dennis, you have a book out there you want to promote?
Oh, yeah, that's that book. That thing here, right here, this thing here. No, yeah, it's there you go. Look at it. There it is. Outstanding. The unforgettable story of hockey's forgotten 60-goal man. There he is. There's been 23 guys ever to score 60 goals in one season, and one name they keep forgetting is my name.
We don't. That's why you're.
I was the seventh player ever to do it out of 7,000 hockey players that have made to one game and played one game in the NHL.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Well, guess what? We have a 60-goal scorer on this show, and he comes on every week that he can. Dennis Maruka, people. All right, Candy, you want to give us a station break and then preview what's going on Fire Up? That'll be around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
The South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganron. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved and changed. Go get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. The audiobook is out there, so wherever you get your audiobook, look for it, as well as a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get podcasts. If you want to be a guest, or if you want to sponsor a show or advertise, or you want to be on a show, email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family, and then turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. As far as Fire Up, we will be talking a little bit about the World Baseball Classic and what happened to USA. We'll talk a little bit about free agency in the NFL. Opening day for MLB is next week. A little bit about March Madness and what's happening in my town.
Okay. With that said, Mike, how about letting everybody know how to get a hold of you and give some information about hockey operations?
You can reach me at msantos@hockeyoperations.org. And be happy to talk to anybody about what's going on in the world of hockey, not only in the NHL, but all levels. This weekend, we've got some big-time Division I college tournaments that'll determine who's in the NCAA field. So a lot of good college hockey going on this weekend.
And Dennis, any other information you want to? I know you're on here a few times a month now, so that's one place.
What's that? What's that? GMTA?
What's that?
Great men think alike. GMTA.
Oh yeah, look at this guy. Great men think alike. I love it. Great men.
There you go.
I love it when guys like him go out there remember my acronyms. Go ahead.
Hey,
Dennis.
next Thursday I'll be in Michigan. My grandson's got a hockey tournament.
So you won't be on this show next week?
It's possible. I just got to see their schedule.
Okay.
And I'm going to be in a hotel room anyways.
Okay.
So I could possibly do it. I'm going to just find out their schedule and see, but I think I should be okay.
Okay, good. Well, look forward to seeing Dennis Maruka here on Sports Draft next Thursday night. Mike Santos and I, and we're going to have Cody Spink back. We're going to talk a little about the Olympics, not so much the USA Olympics, but the games in general in terms of how much the medals are worth and things like that. And most people will know we'll have our fair share of hockey topics as well to go along with it. So Great show tonight having Dennis Rook back on, the 60 goal scorer. And of course, Mike Santos and Dennis Rook are my co-hosts. And this is Scott Morgan about the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us. Fire up his neck. We appreciate you. And we're going to have a lot. Katie and I are going to work towards getting some spring training over the weekend. And we'll have a big agenda next week as far as our programming. Dennis and Mike, thank you very much for being on. We appreciate it. You guys are great. And get ready for Fire Up immediately after we get done. Good night, everybody, and thanks for joining us.
Night. Thank you.
Yeah.